Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hello and welcome to Calgary's podcast with Mario Toneguzzi on Canada's Podcast Network. Joining me today is Jasmine Mara, who is founder of Gypsy and Jasmine. Thanks for joining us today, Jasmine.
Thanks for having me, Mario.
Tell me a little bit about Gypsy and Jasmine and what it is and what you guys do.
Absolutely. So Gypsy and Jasmine is sort of my passion project. So I started it in 2018, and it's a company that has all natural beauty. So my little boys, I have two little boys, one's 8, one's 2, and I have a third on the way. And they were all born with some skin sensitivities. So it sort of lent me on this adventure to learn about what's in our products. And to be frank, I was pretty shocked. So I started this business out of a need for, women and kids who would like products that have, beauty without sort of compromise of all those chemicals and additives.
So tell me, what kind of things I guess you guys put out?
Yeah, so I actually have a couple here I can show you.
Sure.
So we create sort of all natural bath bombs. These are our aromatherapy bath bombs. So a lot of sort of kids' bath bombs have lots of colors or really strong scents. We don't use any of that. No colors. Everything is botanical based and essential oils. We also create all natural earth-inspired soap. So This one's rosemary mint. And then we also have just a number of different products like bath soaks, lip balms. We partner with a bees farm here in Alberta, Uncle Lee's Bees, and a number of other sort of earth-inspired goodies that you can use. So gua sha stone rollers and exfoliating soap bags to make your life a little easier. So all of the earth-inspired goodies for you.
Where is and where do you make this stuff?
So I actually have a studio here in my home. And so I actually create them right here in my home.
And where are they sold?
So I actually sell primarily online. So I have gypsyandjasmine.com. That's a fair portion of our sales. And then I also work with some amazing stores throughout Calgary and sort of surrounding areas, just local stores that carry local goods.
Okay, super. Okay, the second part of the name of the company is obvious, but why Gypsy?
Yeah, I think that's really just about sort of being connected to earth and sort of wanderlusty in nature. And so that's sort of where that was inspired from, sort of connecting my love of earth and love of all things natural and sort of wanderlust nature with my passion for beauty.
Okay, do you think there is a trend now out there that people want more of this all natural stuff, I guess, whatever it is, whether it's food, drink, beauty products, etc.
Absolutely. I think, folks in general are just becoming more aware that wellness is not just, exercising and eating healthy. It's also about what we put on our body regularly. And I've seen just a huge shift. And, Calgary especially, we've been so lucky as a small business, launching pretty close to before coronavirus hit us. We've just been surrounded by so much support. I mean, Calgary is really supportive of local business and really connected to sort of whole life wellness. And so we've been so supported through the community in the last couple of years with this business.
And I guess that's the other trend too, beyond the trend towards all natural stuff. There's also that trend about buying local these days, right?
Hugely, yeah. And I mean, when coronavirus hit, as a business, I decided that we were going to try and compete with the Amazons of the world. I think it's hard sometimes for small businesses to compete with some of these mass brands. And we did actually start offering free delivery in Calgary, and that really helped start to build our client base. So across Canada, we offer free shipping for $75 orders and over. And within Calgary, if you put an order in of $30 or more, we deliver right to your door. So we're better than Amazon.
I was just thinking about just they announced today, and now bear in mind this is all pre-taped and our interview, but they announced today when we're doing this that there are 5 more facilities in Vancouver that they're building. Like just a giant, like unbelievable.
It's crazy and it's hard to compete with, right? Like as a small local business,
Yep.
it's actually pretty hard to offer free delivery. But I think the local community has really responded to that. And we've seen lots of great options for, for folks to order local and get that same service.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your boys now, like, using obviously your own products. What's happened with their skin?
Yeah, I mean, as a mom, I think, you go into being trying to become a mom here. We're coming up on Mother's Day. And sometimes you're faced with these things that are really difficult. And, when my boys came, I had never had eczema or sensitive skin necessarily. And it was sort of this just mission to solve that issue for them. And then I realized that it was really hard to find something off the shelf. Anything that I buy sort of mass merchant has some kind of fragrance or colorants. And actually that was what was irritating my kids' skin.
Uh,
So today, both of them have, calm and nourished skin. I guess they're a little bit lucky. They get mom to sort of make everything, individually for them, but definitely calm and nourished skin. I don't see those inflammations anymore. And they don't have those troubles at all.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about being an entrepreneur, Jasmine. And first of all, what do you like about it?
I think my favorite thing about, starting this journey has just been the ability to, leverage your creativity and bring it to life in the world. There's something really special about that, that you can sort of lay in bed, or anybody can lay in bed and think of like a wonderful idea and actually bring it to life. That's one of my very favorite things. And then the other thing is just the community of other sort of boss babes, if you will, or entrepreneurs locally that have really surrounded me and become really an extension of my friend circle have been amazing. So those are the things that I love.
What don't you love?
Well, what I don't love, I think it is tough. I mean, I still work full time. This is sort of my passion project on the side. And, I have a small young family. So it does certainly mean that, there's lots of late nights up creating bath bombs or artisan soap so that we can get them in for orders for our stores or, deliver our stuff online. So it certainly makes your life full at times.
Do you ever, when you look back at your journey along the way, what's been helpful for you in this journey? Like, are any people giving you advice, or have you seen advice and wisdom in different books? What's helpful?
Yeah, I've read lots of books. I think the thing for me that has been so interesting along this journey is I started my career sort of, with my typical educational background. I went to business school. I felt like I had all the things I needed, but there was that little bit of fear to lean in and sort of take the leap to start your own business.
Yeah.
And it is a leap of faith, and sometimes there's these moments as an entrepreneur that you have to leap and there's no net, there's no net underneath you. And so I think what I've learned along the way, sort of through my experience and sort of leaning into things, is just that's okay, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to jump in and sometimes get a no, or sometimes to have it fail, and just keep going. If you're, really intentional in where you want to go, you'll find the way along the way.
Now, you mentioned, this is your passion project. If you could tell our listeners and viewers what else you do.
Sure. So by day, I am the vice president of marketing and sales at Bromwich and Smith. They're a financial company downtown. So work in restructuring and supporting people with debt. And then a mom and an entrepreneur.
Okay. And you said you were expecting, when's the baby due?
Yes, baby number 3, who incidentally is another boy. So I will have 3 boys, Mario.
Oh boy! Sorry, pardon the pun, but oh boy!
Why do I keep getting that reaction? I don't know. I'll report back. But baby number 3 is due in September.
Okay, super. It's funny when you mentioned that, because boys, I have two girls and one boy, and man, totally different, right? People that say, "Oh, there's no difference in the genders," and no, you have to You have to have children to understand the difference in genders, and boys will be doing things that girls would never even dream of doing, like in sort of different risks and and playing and stuff like that. Like
maybe that's why all of a sudden I've developed a passion project that's connected to aromatherapy. I don't know.
So with all this, like juggling, like my gosh, you've got the Gypsy and Jasmine, you've got the work at Bromwich, you've got two boys and a third coming. How do you establish any work-life balance in all that? Like for yourself, time for yourself, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's actually something that I had to be very explicit about. And, I have a wonderful partner that supports me. So that's really helpful to have someone that you can sort of depend on and, make sure he's there when I'm not. But I think also it's just about being really intentional with my time, and really finding that space for me. And, this passion project, even though it's entrepreneurship and sometimes that can be difficult, that fills my cup. And so for me, that's one of the things that actually is something that I do for me.
Yeah. Do you have any specific hobbies or interests that take you away from everything?
I love reading. I really, really enjoy reading. It's a huge escape for me. And then the other thing my family and I love to do is we love to go hiking and explore the different hikes in and around Kananaskis and Bragg Creek. And so you'll regularly find us if we're not making soap and bath bombs and, handling the finances during the day. Well, you'll definitely regularly see us sort of out doing some hiking. And, under normal circumstances, we also love to travel. But of course, that's been put on hold.
That's true. So when you look into the future, what are your plans and goals, I guess, for your company?
I hope to just continue to lean into it and continue to expand, continue to partner. I'd love to see our products outside of the Alberta borders more frequently, finding some partnerships and wholesale partnerships outside of Alberta as well. And then, long term, this is what I'd love to do full time.
Now, would you ever consider actually having a location, a retail store of your own?
I think maybe sometime in the future, but for right now, I've got such great partnerships with my storefronts. I don't see the need to do that. And I think as a result of launching sort of just before the virus hit, we've had the ability to really nurture our online presence, and it's provided us a lot of flexibility without a whole lot of overhead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, obviously, Jasmine, you've been successful in what you've done here. You've not to put it in a bad way, but you've also seen the challenges. Let's put it that way: the challenges that people have these days in terms of money and finances because of the work you do with Bromwich. Any advice that you could give to people who are kind of aspiring entrepreneurs who have this idea in their head? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think I'm going to get real here for a second. I think, in addition to my kids' sensitivities, I'm going to say about 5.5 years ago, I found myself in a place where I was divorced. I was a single mom and I'd lost my job. And so,
Wow.
I think I had this moment where I thought, okay, this whole stability thing I thought was happening, this whole like, get a good job, get a good pension thing that was sort of drilled into me through my upbringing, maybe is not what I want to pursue. And so, after that moment, I just decided I'm never going to be in the place where I have to worry about paying my bills or feeding my family. It's not going to happen. And so I decided at that point, diversifying my income was really important. So, we have rental properties, we have my little entrepreneurial business. But it's all because, I don't want to be in that position again. It was a hard place to be, and I empathize very much with folks who are there. And I think what's really interesting is, as I look at the community today, we're experiencing sort of a sense of depression, right? I mean, this pandemic has really been difficult for people.
Yeah.
And if you look at sort of the Great Depression from back in history, you'll see that lots of people actually started to spur their own businesses. And it largely was that similar sentiment, holy smokes, I can't rely on, what we all thought might be the white picket fence and the perfect way out.
Yeah.
And so I think that gives you a little bit more risk tolerance as you start to build your business, knowing that, it's hard. There's no question. It's hard to be an entrepreneur. There's lots of decisions all the time that are difficult. But it does provide you that sense that you're in control of it.
Well, you know what? It's interesting when you mentioned that. It brought back memories for me, right? And okay, time to be real as well. And my story. I 35 years worked at the Calgary Herald, and one day, done. Right. And gone. And that was about 5.5 years ago now. But the one thing that I learned from that, and I learned by having a coffee with a former boss who told me, he said, Mario, there is no security, in work. He said, the only security you have is in yourself.
Exactly.
In what you can do, what your skills are, your talents, et cetera, et cetera. And I always remembered that. And I, always thought about that over the years as, especially here in Calgary, we've seen such a tumultuous time, right? With the, first with the oil patch decline and now with the pandemic. So a lot of people's lives turned upside down. And so I've always remembered that. And I've always told that story to people about, your security as it's in yourself, right?
Exactly. And I think, very wise boss you had, Mario. That's awesome.
It was the best boss I ever
had. That's exactly where I landed. I started to realize that there is no sense of security. All you have is you and your ability to be resilient and take the no's in stride and just keep looking for the yeses. Because at the end of the day, you look at folks who are wealthy, and we as a society like to celebrate success, but I guarantee anybody that's standing up there talking about all their successes has had a million no's and a million things that have gone wrong. But it's only the yeses we focus on. So if we can cultivate that resilience together, whether it's through the pandemic or building a business or anything, that's the magic.
And that's a key word, right? That resilience. And I hear it often, especially now over the past year. And failure is an interesting thing, right? Because I had an interview recently with someone else. And we talked about this, and I mentioned if he was a basketball fan, if he remembered Michael Jordan, the former superstar. Michael Jordan always said, there's one quote by his, and I'm paraphrasing. Basically, he said that people always remember all the shots I made, but they forget the thousands of shots that I missed.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly, and you just have to be brave enough to keep taking the shots. That's it.
Yeah. Or as Wayne Gretzky used to say, if you don't shoot, you never score.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. So, I think for everybody out there who's looking at, anything that, might feel painful or difficult, there's power in that, there is.
Okay, super. Well, thanks so much, Jasmine, for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Mara. I appreciate the chat today.
Okay, great. That was Jasmine Mara, who is founder of Gypsy and Jasmine in Calgary. This has been Calgary's podcast with Mario Toneguzzi on Canada's Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us today.